Israel is a small country in the Middle East, located on the southeastern coast of the Mediterranean Sea. It is bordered by Lebanon to the north, Syria to the northeast, Jordan to the east, Egypt to the southwest, and the Palestinian territories, the West Bank along the east, and the Gaza Strip along the southwest. Israel is known for being home to many holy sites for Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Israeli cuisine is loved worldwide and consists of some of the most popular dishes, including falafel, hummus, shakshuka, and shawarma. There is much more to Israel than can be put in words, and in today's video, we'd be talking about how life would be for a person born in Israel. So let's set out on a visual journey on a life in Israel through this video. When the baby is first brought home from the hospital, there is a special welcoming ceremony. The baby is placed in a cradle, and family and friends gather around to greet him or her. The baby is then showered with blessings and gifts. Conservative Judaism presents a ceremony which includes readings and blessings, as well as optional features which parents may choose to perform, including lighting of candles, touching a Torah handle, and enfolding in a prayer shawl, talit. In the candle ceremony, the newborn is carried between rows of guests who hold candles. Alternatively, 6 candles may be lit, symbolizing the 6 days of creation. In the Torah ceremony, a Torah scroll is taken out of the ark, and the baby's hands are placed on the Torah handle. In the talit ceremony, honorees fold each corner of a talit over or around the newborn. The prayer book of Reconstructionist Judaism includes both Hebrew prayers of blessing and an English blessing regarding Torah study. The Reconstructionist Rabbi's Manual, however, presents an additional ceremony known as Brit Mitzvah, Covenant of Washing for girls, along with the welcoming and naming ceremony. The Brit Mitzvah incorporates the washing of the baby's feet in water, with readings and blessings related to the symbol of water. In Jewish families of Israel, the mohel is a specially trained person who performs the circumcision on the baby boy on the 8th day of his life. This is a mitzvah, or commandment in Judaism. The bris is the ceremony that marks the circumcision of the baby boy. It is usually held at home, and it is attended by family and friends. The mohel recites prayers and performs the circumcision. The Pidyon Haben is a redemption ceremony that takes place on the 33rd day of the baby's life. In this ceremony, the father symbolically redeems his son from the angel of death. In Israel, there is a strong emphasis on the importance of family and community in the care of babies. Mothers are often encouraged to stay home with their babies for the first few months, and they are supported by their extended families and friends. The naming of the baby is usually done within a few days of birth. The parents may choose to name the baby after a relative or friend, and they may choose a name that has special meaning to them. Once the baby grows up to be a toddler in Israel, education becomes a highly valued culture, and toddlers are encouraged to learn from a young age. They attend preschool and kindergarten at the age of 2 to 3 years, and they are often enrolled in extracurricular activities that promote learning. Such activities usually include trips to aquariums and zoo trips. Toddlers in Israel often spend a lot of time with their families. They go on outings together and eat meals together whenever possible. The toddlers also celebrate all of the major holidays, such as Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Hanukkah, and Passover. These holidays are a time for family and friends to come together. Young students in Israel typically attend elementary school from the ages of 6 to 12. Elementary school is divided into 2 levels, 1st grade to 5th grade and 6th grade to 8th grade. The curriculum in Israeli elementary schools is similar to that in other countries. Students study math, science, English, Hebrew, social studies, and art. They also learn about Jewish history and culture. Middle schoolers in Israel typically have about 2 hours of homework per night. They may also have to study for tests or quizzes. Theoretically, from kindergarten through 12th grade, public school is supposed to be free, but there are certain fees that the parents end up paying, even in the public schools, and books and writing supplies are not free. Most schools have some kind of uniform, though in recent years it usually consists of a t-shirt or sweatshirt having the school symbol on it. Some private and religious schools have a more formal uniform. An interesting concept in Israel to know about is Haredi Judaism. Haredi Judaism consists of groups within Orthodox Judaism that are characterized by their strict adherence to halakha, or Jewish law, and traditions, in opposition to modern values and practices. Its members are usually referred to as ultra-Orthodox in English. Haredi life, like Orthodox Jewish life in general, is very family-centered and ordered. Boys and girls attend separate schools and proceed to higher Torah study in a yeshiva or seminary, respectively, starting anywhere between the ages of 13 and 18. Typically, the high schools in Israel prepare students for the Israeli matriculation exams called Bagrut. These are exams covering various academic disciplines, which are studied in 1 to 5 and sometimes up to 10 units, Yehadut Limud, usually of ascending difficulty. Students with a passing mark on the mandatory matriculation subjects, Hebrew language, English language, mathematics, scripture, history, state studies, and literature. The Bagrut certificate is then awarded to students who pass the required examinations with a passing mark 56% or higher in each exam. These scores qualify graduates to attend university in Israel or worldwide. Adults in Israel typically work long hours, but they also take frequent breaks. The standard work week is Sunday through Thursday with 8 to 9 hours of work per day. Employees are entitled to 1 hour for lunch. Adults in Israel enjoy a vibrant social life. They often go out with friends to eat, drink, and have fun. They also participate in a variety of cultural activities, such as going to the movies, the theater, or concerts. However, unless you work for a foreign employer or as a software developer or are sponsored by family or are independently wealthy, the cost of living and the rat race to get by, Hebrew idiom, to finish the month, is the hardest part of living in Israel. There is a growing trend of companies offering flex time or compressed work weeks. The job system in Israel is based on the principle of collective bargaining. Most employees are represented by trade unions, which negotiate with employers on wages, benefits, and working conditions. The government also plays a role in setting labor standards. Haredi Jews are typically opposed to the viewing of television and films and the reading of secular newspapers and books. There has been a strong campaign against the internet, and internet-enabled mobile phones without filters have also been banned by leading rabbis. A rabbi is a spiritual leader or religious teacher in Judaism. It is interesting to know that even though most Haredi Jews were opposed to the establishment of the State of Israel, and Haredi Jews mostly do not celebrate Yom HaAtzmaut, Israeli Independence Day, or any other state-instituted holidays, there were many who gave their support to the state. In most Western counties, it's considered normal for kids who grow up to return home only a couple of times a year, perhaps for Christmas, Easter, and birthdays. This is not the case in Israel. One reason is the country's small size. An hour drive is considered far, but more so because Israeli culture is very family-oriented. Traditionally, children, along with their kids, will meet for Friday dinner at their parents' house almost every weekend. A typical Israeli mom will go out of her way and spare no effort to ensure everybody shows up. The origin of the tradition is religious. The Jewish weekend, called Shabbat, starts at sunset on Friday and ends at sundown on Sunday. The Shabbat begins with a short blessing called Kiddush, which marks the entry of the Shabbat. The Kiddush is held at the dinner table with a raised glass of wine, and after it, the meal begins. During Shabbat, observant Jews do not work, use electricity, or drive. They spend time with family and friends and just enjoy themselves. In Israeli towns, you see more people out and about on the streets than you do in many American towns. You'll see a lot of diverse people on the street. Secular Jews, mildly religious Jews, small skullcap for men, long skirts for women, ultra-religious Jews, black clothes for men, very modest dresses usually for women, Muslim and Christian Arabs. Society is more open and you are more likely to know your neighbors. People generally feel safe on the streets in day-to-day life. A very common means of transportation in Israel is the bus. Israelis can get from anywhere to everywhere on a bus. In town, the fare is the same to go one station or 20, as long as you stay on the same line. That is very convenient for most people, and saves them the headache of finding a parking spot. English is widely spoken in Israel, and it is often a requirement for jobs in the high-tech sector. If you do not speak English fluently, you may have difficulty finding a job in Israel. All Israeli citizens are required to serve in the military for at least 2 years. This is a major rite of passage for young Israelis, and it helps to create a strong sense of national identity. The unemployment rate in Israel is relatively low, at around 4%. The economy is driven by the high-tech sector as well as by tourism and agriculture. There is universal health coverage. The basic package is covered by national health insurance that is deducted from your paycheck and applied to membership in the HMO of your choice. Like any other tax, it is a percentage of your income. If you are not working, the national insurance stipend, like Social Security, pays your health coverage. Marriage is a very important institution in Israel. It is seen as a way to formalize a couple's commitment to each other and to start a family. The legal minimum age for marriage in Israel is 18 for both men and women. However, there are some exceptions to this rule. For example, a couple can be married at a younger age if they have parental consent or if they are married in a religious ceremony. While you might assume all Israeli weddings are Jewish weddings, Israeli weddings are actually as diverse as the Israeli population today, filled with immigrants from North Africa, the Middle East, Europe, and North America, along with Arab, Israeli, and Druze people, to name just a few. When talking of Jewish marriages prominently, the ketubah is a wedding contract which includes the financial and conjugal obligations of the man and wife, as well as other frameworks for the marriage. The couple will sign the ketubah in front of two witnesses, who also sign it. The signing is sometimes done at the Shatunj Tish, or a mini party with the groom and mostly men, where there is lots of singing, dancing, and drinking before the ceremony. A religious wedding will have men and women seated on separate sides of the aisle. The groom and bride are each walked down the aisle by their parents to the chuppah, where the rabbi is waiting. The parents stand off to the side on the edges of the chuppah during the ceremony. The chuppah is a wedding canopy usually made from a four-cornered cloth attached to four poles, under which the ceremony occurs. Young couples face a major problem in financing housing. Most must rent an apartment until they can save enough capital to purchase an apartment of their own. The prices of apartments vary from city to city. In Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and Haifa, for instance, a three-bedroom apartment costs between $130,000 and $160,000. In other parts of Israel, the prices may be lower by $30,000 to $50,000, but these areas are less industrialized and finding suitable employment is difficult. Israeli homes don't have built-in closets that are part of the structure. Instead, people have clothes cupboards. You have to take into account that this takes up floor space in your bedroom. These cupboards may need to be replaced from time to time as they wear out. The cupboards usually go from floor to ceiling on one wall of the room and have three types of storage: hanging space, shelves, and drawers. They come in different styles and sizes. Most homes do not have central heating. Instead, various types of space heaters are used in the different rooms of the house. Some homes use air conditioning that cools in summer and heats in winter. Large institutions are more likely to have central heating or air conditioning. Hospitality is a byword in Israel. You always keep the water hot to offer coffee, and you keep cookies on hand to offer anyone who comes in your door. People don't need or wait for an invitation to visit. They come if they feel like it, and you are always glad to see them no matter what is going on in your life. Israelis are known for their direct approach, and they never hesitate to speak their mind or disregard your input if they think you're being circuitous or silly. So when in Israel, be prepared to be interrupted, talked over, or told your ideas are stupid by everyone from business partners to waiters, and cut off while you're driving and waiting in line. Queuing in Israel is a fantasy. Be aware of the Israel-Palestinian conflict. If you think there's a simple solution or a good and bad side to this ongoing struggle, you need to educate yourself before you come to Israel. The conflict, which originated even before the establishment of Israel in 1948, has extremely complicated psychological, religious, and cultural roots. Since just 2008, it has claimed more than 6,000 lives and touched the lives of every single Israeli and Palestinian. Security checks are a common sight in Israel. They are conducted at airports, train stations, and other public places. Security checks are designed to prevent terrorism. Usually when tourists come to Israel, they are shocked by the abundance of guns and other weapons they see on the streets. For the Israelis, however, it is a very normal scene. Almost every family has one or more of its male members in the army, either in the regular service or the reserves. These men, of course, bring their weapons home when they are not on duty. Also, people living in the settlements of Judah and Samaria are entitled to ask for a weapon for self-protection. The standard retirement age in Israel is 67 for men and 62 for women. However, there are exceptions to this rule, such as for people who have worked in hazardous occupations. Usually, every senior citizen receives a state pension, but that is really not enough to live on. You really need a private pension from your working years to be able to manage. Those who do not have such use their savings or end up very poor. Some are entitled to either Batak Leumi, national insurance, aka Social Security benefits. There are many private initiative charitable institutions which donate to the elderly poor, either with money or food, medicines, etc. Those elderly who need nursing care are entitled to Bituak Lumi assistance to pay for this care. This is a means-tested benefit, that is, depending on your level of income. Another example is for Holocaust survivors who receive extra benefits from the Holocaust Survivors Foundation. Death and mourning are important parts of life in Israel, and there are many different cultural practices surrounding these topics. One of the most important aspects of death in Israel is the concept of Shiva. Shiva is a 7-day mourning period that is observed by the immediate family of the deceased. During Shiva, the family stays home and receives visitors. Visitors typically bring food and offer their condolences. Shiva is a time for family and friends to come together and support each other during a difficult time. Another important aspect of death in Israel is the concept of Kaddish. Kaddish is a Jewish prayer that is recited in memory of the deceased. Kaddish is recited every day for 11 months after the death of a loved one. Kaddish is a way for the living to show their respect for the dead and to reaffirm their faith in God. There are also many different cultural practices surrounding burial in Israel. In general, Jews are buried in cemeteries that are located in Israel. However, there are some exceptions to this rule. For example, if a Jew dies while living abroad, they may be buried in a cemetery in the country where they died. Thank you for watching. What did you enjoy the most? Let us know in the comments below. See you in the next video.